Thank you, and welcome to part two of the presentation on Sawtooth Software's Convergent Cluster Ensemble Analysis. So this is the actual software demonstration, and for this demonstration we have a data set that has 429 respondents. And these 429 respondents evaluated the importance of 10 attributes of casual dining restaurants, and we had them do so using a maximum difference scaling methodology so that we get nice, sensitive results to find out what's more and less important to people. And so now let's go ahead and use the CCEA software and find some segments. See if we can find some real segment structure there in our data. So with that, we're going to hop over to the CCEA program. And we've got our various things we can do here. So let's go into the settings here. Let's not look at, let's look at a 3 to 5 segment solution. Let's do 30 replications like I mentioned, and let's use that strategy where we're going to look at distance-based, density-based, and hierarchical solutions as inputs here. And so that's all set up. Now let's go and run the program. So now we're ready to go. Let's go ahead and run the calculations. This time, remember, we're going to be doing this. It's running 30 different solutions for a 3-segment solution, a 4, and a 5. So let's see what we get here. We find that it read our data correctly. 429 respondents there. There's our 10 attributes of fast food dining restaurants. Let's go ahead and estimate the models. Pull them back in here so we can see them. Okay. So let's go to the top here. Told us it read those variables in. Here's where it's run for the 3-group solution. It's run the analysis 30 different times and it's comparing them. And what it tells us here is that this is the statistics we want to look at here. The reproducibility is 91.1%. So what that's saying is that one of those 30 replications was higher than all the rest. And you can see several solutions here that have 91.1% replicability. So it appears that there's some real underlying structure that's popping up again and again and again. That's a pretty high level of reproducibility. And so I think that's we've got a promising start here. It looks like we might be finding something real. So let's go down before we start interpreting a 3-segment solution. Let's see what our 4 and 5-segment solutions look like. So here's our 4-segment solution. There we've run the replications. We see a lot of 100% here. And here is a replication number 24. Had the highest reproducibility of all, 99.9%. And that to me is suggesting that it's really finding some real underlying structure in the data. This is, I'll be honest, this isn't the kind of reproducibility we see every day. Oftentimes, depending on the kind of data we're working with, we oftentimes end up with lower levels of reproducibility in the 70s and 80s sometimes, and sometimes even less than that, depending on how noisy the data is. So this is a particularly clean solution, is the 4-segment solution. Let's go down and take a look at what 5 might look like. 5, the reproducibility falls to 92%. So let's go back up and look at the 4-segment solution now, just for fun, to see if it makes any sense. And in this screen, we can see at the top group means in terms of the maximum difference scaling importances for those 10 attributes. And there's those same group means viewed as differences from the grand mean for each row. So let's just look up at the group means, because the story it tells us, I think. So the first segment, 69% of our respondents, of our 429 respondents there, are in that first segment. And it looks like that segment is mostly about the temperature of the food, the taste of the food, the comfortable environment, the attentiveness of the server. So it looks like they're wanting sort of an across-the-board good experience, more or less. They're wanting attentive service, the food served while it's still hot, and good tasting food. And not that everybody doesn't want good tasting food, I would imagine. But let's take a look at our segment. Segment 2, it really it seems really, really important to the segment 2 members that the restaurant is clean and that it's good tasting food, and nothing else really seems to pop for them. So 83 people really focused on the cleanliness. I don't know what kind of restaurant these people are used to going to, but they're really into the cleanliness. The largest group of respondents, segment 3, 232, almost half the respondents are very, very focused on taste. They're gonna go out to eat at a casual dining restaurant, perhaps with their family or friends or whatever, and the main thing they care about, which I suppose isn't too surprising for a restaurant, is that the food tastes good. They also care a little bit about cleanliness and price and so on, but taste is really the overwhelmingly important thing for them. And then our last segment, and the smallest of the four, is segment number 4, and it's a price segment, pretty much. Again, it's not that they don't care about taste. They care about taste just like the other segments do, not as quite an extreme a way as segment number 3 does, but they care about taste. But the other big thing, in fact, the biggest thing they care about is price. They seem to be extremely price sensitive. So you might imagine, and that would be the next step actually we'd want to do in a segmentation. We'd want to start comparing how our segments compare on profiling variables to see if these 4 segments of people, for instance, are eating at different brands of casual dining restaurants. You might certainly expect that would be the case, and that would be another quality check we might want to do. Anyway, let's get back to the software. Now, instead of running k-means, the traditional CCEA program, let's run cluster ensembles analysis. And so we're gonna pick that. Again, let's just do 3 to 5 segments here. And here is where it's giving us the flexibility to run all different kinds of solutions, right? So we got k-mean, density-based k-means, distance-based k-means, hierarchical k-means, 2 different hierarchicals with different kinds of linkage. Anyway, and for 2-segment solution, 3-segment solution, all the way down to a 30-segment solution. We're going to run all those solutions in the cluster ensemble, and then the ensemble is going to take the outputs of those, the segment assignments, and it's going to cluster on those using something like the convergent cluster analysis, and it's going to give us some results. So let's just see what happens here. So let's go and compute it. Now this one obviously is running a lot more solutions. It's running a lot more candidate solutions before it even gets into running the final set that we're going to look at. So let's go ahead and get it running. So as you might imagine, it's probably going to take a little bit longer to run. You can see it's still not too time consuming. It took a little bit longer to run, but not tremendously so. So let's go back up here. It's just telling us what it ran and what solutions it discovered, each of those many ways it ran solutions. And now it's coming up with its recommended best solution, the consensus solution for 3 groups produced this. So here's a 3-segment solution, and what's telling us is that the consensus developed during the k-mean stage had a reproducibility of 79%. So not as high as we were seeing in the CCEA, but still pretty high. So let's go down to the 4-segment solution. It actually had a better fit, 86%. So that suggests that there's something maybe more real about the 4-segment solution than the 3. And in the 4-segment solution is even higher in terms of reproducibility than the 5-segment solution. So let's go back and look at that one, kind of like we did before with the 4-segment solution. And if you recall, last time we had a definite segment about taste, mostly taste and price and cleanliness, and we've managed to pick that segment up again. This time it's not quite as large. It's still the largest of the 4 segments, but it's not half the respondents. So we're getting a similar answer to what we had before, but not quite identical. Segment 2 this time is very much, this seems to be the segment that we had last time that was focused on several things about the experience. You know, they wanted taste, they wanted food served at the right temperature, they wanted good, attentive service and so on. So they seem to spread their importances out a bit more. We're still seeing the smallest segment is still the most price sensitive segment here, segment 3. So that again, we've got a very similar solution to what we had before. And then we had that segment of people who really care about cleanliness, and they've reappeared as segment 4 this time. So it certainly looks like there's some real underlying structure here in the 4-segment solution. We picked it up with very high reproducibility in CCEA, and then using a different clustering technology altogether, Convergent cluster ensembles analysis, where we had a lot more different kinds of inputs, and a different analysis algorithm, we're still ending up with a similar story. So this is a really good segmentation story. It appears that we've got some real structure residing in our data, and that these programs have allowed us to find that structure. One more output that's valuable from the CCEA program is an output that shows which segments each respondent gets assigned to under each of the solutions. So after we've done all the hard work of going through the various solutions and looking at 3 versus 4 versus 5 segment solutions, and maybe picking out which one of those we like the best, and having the software help us pick out which particular version of a 4-group solution we like the best, say, we can open this file. It's a comma delimited file, a CSV file, and when we open it, we can open it in Excel, and what it shows us here is how each respondent gets assigned to a segment under each of the 3 solutions. So for instance, if we look at respondent number 28, we can see that respondent number 28 gets assigned to segment number 2 in the 3-group solution, to segment number 2 in the 4-group solution, and to segment number 5 in the 5-group solution. So that's a handy bit of information if we want to go ahead and put our segmentation data into crosstabs or run whatever other analyses we want to run on it. We're in good shape once we got the information from this file. So that concludes our software demonstration. With that, I'm going to take us back to the presentation and just leave you with some references that we cited during the course of the presentation. So thanks very much.